So what are the advantages and disadvantages of the blockchain? So I've made a few notes here, so let's go through it, right? The blockchain has high security for one, which makes it very attractive. It protects your savings because of this. It's decentralized too, which means that basically there's no controlled authority pulling the strings, and you have that level of transparency that no one's doing things with your money that they shouldn't be doing, right? Obviously, if you put it on an exchange, which we'll talk about a little bit later, then that can be something that can happen. But I'll talk about how you can protect yourself and keep yourself secure when trading crypto. There's also transparency. So since it's public, anyone can see the transactional data, which allows for a sense of accountability and the reduction of fraud. Obviously, fraud happens because there's less policing and regulation in the whole crypto scene, but it's very hard not to get exposed if you're trying to scam with crypto, right? Especially Bitcoin, which we're kind of mainly talking about. Now, the blockchain is highly efficient and transactions are processed very quickly and efficiently without any kind of payment processors like we were talking about before, the Visa system or PayPal, needing to actually do anything in between to verify, and no one can actually hold your funds. The annoying thing about using something like PayPal is someone can basically hold your funds from PayPal until they verify that your money should be released, and you kind of have your money in limbo. If you're using crypto and trading Bitcoin, for example, this just can't happen to you. And since we talked about before that the transactions can't be added, deleted, or modified in any way, it's immutable. So there's a permanent and secure record, which kind of adds a sense of security in a way. But what's bad about the blockchain is the fact that there's limitations to the scalability, right? Because it has limitations to the number of transactions that can be running and processed on it at one time, which also increases the fees. This causes slower transaction times and higher fees, which you have to spend to make a transaction, okay? It's also very complex and it may be difficult to understand for beginners, so I hope you can kind of understand the guide here as I'm explaining it. There's also energy consumption which comes into play, as the miners, who are basically using the computer power to mine coins, use a lot of power and energy to do this, so it has a big environmental impact. Now, we're not going to be going into mining in this course, but that's the basis of what mining is. If I used a computer to do it or a designated mining machine to do it, I'm basically using a CPU or a GPU, which is a graphics card, and using that power to actually solve mathematical equations on my computer, and I can get rewarded with some cryptocurrency for doing that, okay? It basically positively impacts the network, and then I get rewarded for doing so. But like I said, it's a little bit complex for beginners to understand, so we're not going to go into that in this course. Another downside is with no regulation, obviously there's a lack of regulation, which is a concern since with no governing body to actually maintain it, people can be very vulnerable to scams and illegal activities, right? With these, there's kind of a sense of irreversibility where once a transaction is on the blockchain, it can't be reversed, right? So meaning errors will cost you. If someone scams me on the Visa network, or if someone uses my card to make a payment, I can most likely get the money back, or at least get a bank to refund the money and chase it up. If you send someone all of your Bitcoin by accident, or if you get scammed, or if your wallet gets hacked, you're not getting it back because there's nobody to go to for help. So that's a big risk, which is why you need to learn about security first.